One. Welcome back, South Philly Sauce and Audacy Original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels, Ashlyn Sullivan, Al Morgani, here with you recapping early week of hockey, a busy week of hockey for the Flyers. 4 games this week. They lost in a shootout to the Vegas Golden Knights and have 3 more games this week. As a whole, one of the longest homestands of the season. They finished 500. Disappointing because they easily could have gotten that extra point with a win over Vegas. They let them back in the game. But it wasn't, when we say let them back in the game, you were talking about this on post-game, Al. I don't think it's exactly like that. They played well the entire game. Vegas is just a very talented team.
Yeah, they had they lost their minds for like 4 minutes or so. Basically, they had turnovers. A couple of veterans had turnovers, and Lawton, Coots, and the game got away from them for just a moment, though. I thought overall I was pretty impressed the way they hung in with their pretty tough schedule at home to come back against Vegas was, to me, that told you more than losing the lead. The fact that it wasn't collapse city when that happened. I mean, when you have stuff that goes wrong, you have to recover. Like it's Thanksgiving, right? If you like burn the turkey, well, just have really good mashed potatoes, right? Like just don't.
I don't think that adds up.
Well, it does add up. You have to make the most of it. It could end up them being the best Thanksgiving you ever had because you'll talk about it forever, right? So you come back from something, you recover. You don't just throw it out. Oh, everybody go home. Everybody go home. I screwed this up. No, you go order pizza, have something. You come back. You manage for what you have, and that's what they did. Everything didn't just go south on them. I'm sorry about that. I know you're going to Georgia for Thanksgiving, so I didn't mean that to be any sort of insult, but it didn't all go south on them. They managed to recover, got their bearings, and come back and got a point out of a really tough game.
Yeah, it was a really tough game against a talented team. They played well, especially the fast start that we haven't seen in a long time. And as I think you look at this homestand, there are so many things that are encouraging that you can build on and feel good about for the rest of the season. One of them is our first topic, Emil Andrae, who comes off scoring his first goal in the NHL, fired up, really exciting stuff. And towards in that morning skate right before the Vegas game, truthfully doesn't know what his future looks like. He's been up and down between Lehigh. We're not sure how long he's going to stay up. I don't know how you send this guy down.
Yeah, I'm sure how long he's going to stay up. Forever. I mean, he's just too good. Every time, he makes a mistake, he doesn't. Like when you're a little player like that, he got bowled over a couple of times last year. So he's managed to stay away from some of that. But I'll tell you, Ash, when we watch him play, it's like, my God, he's so confident for a player that doesn't have the resume. Mm-hmm. Like he plays like his resume is 10 pages long and it's only like a paragraph, right? And he just comes in and just asserts himself and says, all right, I'm going to move up in the play. I'm going to pinch on this play. And if it doesn't work, well, maybe I made a mistake, but I'll get back on the play. Or the next time I'm going to do it again. His offensive IQ, I guess is what you want to say, is really, really good. And for a team that struggles so hard to score goals, to have some younger players with this mindset is just it's a real plus for the whole, not just for the defensive core, but for everybody to go in and push the play and not be afraid of pushing the play. And he's done it. And you would think, a guy that's been up, goes back down, you would think most people would be like, I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be really cautious about this. We'll just take it a bit at a time. But no, he's just taking the whole thing. If he's going to take a chance, he's going to take this opportunity. He's going to make the most of it. And I like that. And I think Tortorella likes that too. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact, guys have gone down, York went down, he went down, and he wants to see that they come back and they want to stay. They want to take a bigger bite of the apple. And that's what this kid's done. And even talking to him afterwards, when you interview him, the locker room in a practice or after a game or whatever, he seems to be like, yeah, I belong here, and no worries about it. I know I can go shoulder to shoulder with these guys, and mentally, that's a big part of the game.
Yeah, very calm demeanor. Definitely acts like he belongs. And I think when you watch his game, the big difference from last year is we've seen young guys at times make egregious mistakes where you can't look away from it. Emil Andrae doesn't really have that. You don't ever look at him on the ice and go, oh my gosh, what's he doing? Which I think is rare for a player as young as he is. And I just think as a whole, and I think with the defense getting healthy again and Cam York back, I just think Emil Andrae you can tell he's making a big difference here, and I'd be surprised if he gets sent back down at this point.
Yeah, you have power play time. I mean, that's where when people watch hockey and they go, okay, ice time or whatever, plus minus, all this, but where we can really pile up points or pile up confidence is if you're given power play time. It drives some players crazy. They don't get it. They'll see other players get opportunity after opportunity. But if you have that opportunity and you make it better, that really hastens your ascension into a lineup and how many minutes you're going to get in the game, the important times you're on the ice. And this kid's going to get it with what he's got right now. And what it leads to also is this really, they really have it's a really unique situation with competition for jobs at defense, in goal, as a backup goaltender, mm-hmm. and forward. And you look at the defense now, and they bring up kids, and they kind of say, well, you know what, I can play here. It's a testament in large part to what's going on with the Phantoms, with Ian LaPerriere coaching them and getting them up here. But then to come up and you want to feel like you're okay, but you don't. As a coach, you don't want anybody comfortable when they first come up that, okay, you got it made. And I think Tortorella is pretty good about that. Like, okay, you're going to sit this one. Everybody's got to get some ice time. But I like the competition that's gone on. But I especially like this kid last year at training camp. Just watch him. He catches your eye immediately. If you're just a casual fan and you go watch, you go, well, that's something different. That's something special. That kid can move pretty good and passes it pretty good and gets it out of the zone. And I think that's really what the Flyers have been looking for from him.
Big time. And we'll see the future for Emil Andrae. Torts has still been honest. He doesn't know what that looks like. And even Emil was saying how he's taking it day by day, practice by practice, which of course is a good mindset. And I think another huge positive when you come off this homestand is Rasmus Ristolainen. I mean, we talked about him every single post-game show. When have we ever done that? He is definitely playing the best he has as a Flyer. And while he's great defensively, making a huge difference in the offensive zone, which we couldn't have said last year.
No, I named him Ristolainen because he's been like that. Come in and Tortorella said if he doesn't move his feet, he's an average player or even below average, but he does move his feet now. And he's a big guy and he creates space. And I think others follow him into the zone or cover up for him when he's in the zone because you want that confidence going in. He's never going to be the prototypical number one guy or whatever, but he is a physical player. And he also, he got a lot of heat because the Flyers paid him so much to come here. But when you look at salaries now around the league for defensemen, it's really not out of line for a guy that plays as much as he does and now gets more and more ice time. What he has to guard against now is you can't let that game slip at all. And I don't think that's going to happen because Tortorella is going to be all over him. And if it does slip a little bit, I think he'll hear about it. And he's one of those guys when some guys can make an error and it's like you kind of not noticed, but he's one of those guys, like if he bites the dust, the dirt ends up in the goalie's mouth. That's what happens. And it's a horrible situation because, you make a mistake and you pay for it. It seems like every time he makes that big mistake, the team gets hammered. Goaltender goes, whoa. And it's like he's one of those guys. So he has to be really, really confident to maintain what he's doing here. It's any slippage in his game. There are players just like that. Any slippage in his game, and it's so obvious, and the crowd gets on him, and the coach certainly will get on him. So much as he's playing well, he has to I guess pretend like he has to make the lineup every game. Although he's going to be penciled in, when he plays like that, he's a real force.
He is. It's that consistency, right, that John Tortorella always preaches with every single player. And I agree. Maybe it's because of his size, but when he makes a mistake, even if it is a small mistake, it looks egregious. It looks so dramatic. And you're always like, here we go again with him. But for Rasmus Ristolainen, I think we've been encouraged. It definitely seems like he's taken the next step to be a more confident player. And I'm just curious. I think for him, it's almost like rewriting what he is in Philadelphia. He seems to always be in trade talks and trade situations, and you can tell his career hasn't gone the way he's wanted it to, where you hope for the guy he's able to rewrite it a little bit.
Yeah, to not have your name in the headlines when the trade deadline comes up, or even before, what's going to be like. And even worse than that is like, why they pay him this much? That type of thing. That I think is
which is never his fault.
No, I mean,
someone gave me money, I take it.
He's not going to take the money. So, and he's kind of a different cat in terms, when you talk to him, he's not like, doesn't seem like he's quiet. But I love the interviews with him because he's pretty straightforward in what he says. So basically what he said, and that's the way his game has to be too. I think that if he can be that physical presence 90% of the time, he makes everybody better. And I also think that because they now have players that do pinch up on the play, move up on the play, it's what they're kind of been coached to do now. He's more comfortable doing that. I'm honestly been impressed how effective he is up there. To help guys set up goals, to hunt a puck down. Now that they have a structure where when he goes in, there is coverage behind him. I like him going up there. And I like the fact that he's confident enough to do it. And we saw already in this homestand a couple of times, just flying in and creating all kinds of havoc for the other team. How'd you like that big guy come roaring in at you? Like I said the other night, he's like a wild reindeer. The fin's coming in at you. You got to get out of the way because he can cause some severe damage.
He can. And I think just as a whole, the world needs more honesty like Rasmus Ristolainen. You know exactly where you stand. And I always appreciate that about him, that's for sure. And he's been a huge part of this homestand of positives of it. And as we recap this homestand going about 500 here, I think as a whole, we were curious if we were going to get to see Sam Ersson against Vegas. Now you're wondering if you see him this week. I think you will. I lean towards most likely maybe that Black Friday game besides Wednesday in Nashville. But as a whole, Ivan Fedotov, Kolosov, if you would have said, your starting goaltender is going to be out against teams like this, like Vegas, Colorado, Carolina, and you can go 500 in that homestand with your backups, I think anyone would have taken that.
Yeah, that's a real plus to me. And again, it's competition for the two of them. I don't know how long they'll keep. I don't know how long you can keep the three with. We mentioned players that should be here. So I don't know how long this is going to go on. We'll see what Ersson looks like. I think you'll see him at some point after I don't think in the Nashville game, but some point after that. You got to be really careful. Already he's come back too early from a groin injury. You can't risk that. I'm wondering if you just don't wait, since they have a 4-day break after this rush to after Thanksgiving. Maybe if you can somehow get through that gives you the good break that you don't have to, because it's different being in a practice or whatever, but when you're in a game, you just don't know what's going to happen. What save you're going to have to make if you're really ready. So, I think if it was me, I would see, can I just squeak by this thing, get through the weekend, and get that break that they have, and then come back later. But I don't really know which way. If you had to make a decision, I don't really know which way. It looked like Kolosov, obviously, early. Fedotov, for as awkward as he can look at times, made some big saves. I thought he let in a soft goal. One was really soft to me in the last game against Vegas. One was questionable to me. But he really has his compete level. I think you now see. I think what bothered people is he didn't look like his compete level was that good because he was getting used to playing here and exactly how to look through a screen or whatever. So I think he was kind of caught in between here, and he's really deep he was really playing deep in net too, which bothered a lot of people. He's adjusted a lot of that, and he's just diving at things, which even if it's out of position at times, it's like the effort. You can see the effort there, the scramble to just whatever it takes. I'm going to stop this. So although I thought it was no question Kolosov was going to be the guy, I look at this and go, there's something more there than everybody thought the first few weeks that he was out there. There's something to his game in big moments especially. So we'll see what happens, and that's why I think they may give both of them a chance here to see what happens. I never liked three goaltenders because of practice. just what you can, how do you deal with this? And, they're mentally, I mean, their psyche is always as fragile as a cornflake. So you're not playing, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you don't have any confidence anymore. So I really think they got to get next week when they come back after that break. I think they decide on the backup goaltender.
Yeah, and Swartz has been honest even just a couple of days ago that he thinks the sample size is too small, and I think the goaltending play is forcing that because no one has been the clear-cut winner. And I know that drives Swartz crazy. It drove him crazy in training camp with a couple of positions that no one was taking it. But I don't think it's because of them both playing bad. I think they both have risen up to the occasion. So I lean more towards Kolosov, but then Fedotov with his height, I mean, he's doing splits to save goals at 6'8". So when you do stuff like that, it's like, man, how can you send that guy down too? I see the tough decision here, and that's why I think they're going to keep these three longer than we expected.
Well, we'll see what happens. And, I mean, I don't know how long once Erson's back, I mean, you got to play.
Yeah.
That's the other, I mean, you got to play. So maybe you shuttle back and forth. I don't know, but you can't really sit for a long period of time. That's not fair to a goaltender, physically or mentally.
Yeah, not knowing. For sure.
Yeah.
And now it's got to be the biggest plus of all. And I'm even excited to talk about this. Finally, Morgan Frost, he gets a goal, his second of the year. He's back in the lineup, 2 games back-to-back in the lineup. You pull for this guy. We've talked so much about him. I get where Torts is because we don't even know what to say anymore. We all know his potential. We saw the spinorama in the shootout, stuff he can do that no one else can. You pull for Morgan Frost that now that he has a goal, can he keep this going?
Yeah, you want it to keep going, and I think they got a taste of it again. You mentioned that overtime spinorama thing that he had. It was, if that ever went in, it was like goal of the year. It would have been.
We've been like Tippett's last year. We still talk about.
Yeah, but I need to see it more than even for 2-game flash or whatever. I will say, I think the fact that Michkov is there. We already saw the Konechny chemistry. That's why I thought Frost could have a big year, because like selfishly, I'm looking at it like, well, this Russian kid's going to make me a whole bunch of rubles because I'll just send him. He's going to get goals and I'm going to get points. So I think if that works out, that's what would partially drive me to up my game, if you will. He's going to have to play a little more physically along the boards. And you also have to remember, not to take any luster off here, but the better, if he puts together a bunch of good games and there's scouts watching, it may get him out of town more than get him on a more enviable spot on the roster. Because they've got a long history with him, and they say, well, is this just a temporary thing? But they do need that. They've wanted that for so long. They've wanted plays like that. They've been willing to live with the mistakes. The problem when you do that, and you have that's why Tortorella sort of has to bench him from time to time, because you can't allow him that long a leash all the time while other guys are getting piped. You just can't do it. So I think that's what you're going to see there. But to me, it's like just the body language was better. And when he was talking about stuff after the game, he was not like, he was trying to play it down because I think he knows where he is right now. It's like, I have this has to continue. I can't slip back anymore here, because it'll be more frustrating at that point. It'll be, oh my God, here we go again. So I think there's a big couple of games here going into that famous term, the American Thanksgiving, that we're going into, which I've always thought was ridiculous. I mean, Thanksgiving's thing. I know they got Canadian Thanksgiving, but damn, it's like Labor Day. It's like, it's like, oh yeah, we know what's going to happen by American Thanksgiving. Frost is all set now because we've reached American Thanksgiving. No, it's not true. It's ridiculous. It's this thing that people make up, like, oh yeah, you're going to make the playoffs because you're there at American Thanksgiving. Well, forget it. Half the league's Russian now. American Thanksgiving means nothing.
It means nothing, especially when you look at the way the Flyers ended last season as a whole, too. I mean, we've seen plenty of teams and teams that have fallen completely off, too. I mean, there's so much hockey left to be played, but it's a massive week for Morgan Frost, and it's a really big week for the Flyers.
It's a big week.
Rangers, big week.
Big week for everybody. That Black Friday game is always a huge event. The Rangers, I mean, a general manager like making noises like he's going to trade half the team because they're not playing what they should be. So they're going to be absolutely cranked up to come in. And that's a game, Ashton, where I really think, because people anticipate that game, it's a big event. And that's where you want to come in and have a real show. I mean, I think, everybody's going to come into that thing. It's like with their, okay, now I'm going to decide it's Black Friday. Do I buy that Mitch Cobb jersey for Christmas for the kids or whatever? So let's go. Or maybe Frost will have that game. That's a risky present. I will tell you right now.
That's a risky purchase.
If you're looking for the one that's a guarantee, I certainly would go with Mitch Cobb. But if you want to risk that, but you want to put on a show for that game. So that's going to be terrific. Yeah,
I think if you're thinking about a Morgan Frost jersey, maybe we could entitle you maybe a Travis Konechny, maybe a Travis Sanheim would be a safer pick, but
one of the Travi, one of those that come in and get ready for that. It was good that Team Canada scouting both Travises for Team Canada to come in. I think Risto is probably going to be in Team Finland. I would put him on the team. I don't know what otherwise that there's going to be anything, but I think that's right. It's a kind of I guess it's a political thing. Russia's not involved in this thing. That would be an unbelievable team. And I would be curious to see if Mitch Cobb would have been one of those guys. So we'll see what happens. But this is a quarter mark of the season, basically. We've had a lot to like about this team. And for us, a lot of storylines have gone on.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Really.
Not been boring, that's for sure.
Oh no, it's been every week it seems like it's something else that's come up, and it's been a pretty productive first quarter in terms of storylines. Guys not where you thought they would be. Guys ahead of where you thought you would be. Goaltending issues. It's been as usual with the Flyers. It's been interesting.
It's been a lot going on, that's for sure. And that is our podcast for this week. We hope everyone has an awesome Thanksgiving. We'll recap all of these games early next week. The Flyers with 3 more games left this week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.